So yeah,
What
I
kind of
was eating
cereal?
I was eating cereal dry.
What kind?
Quaker oatmeal squares. Those are like thick boys.
Thick one without milk.
Without
That's
milk.
that's
I was hungry,
dry.
man, and I got home and I realized there's like not enough food, so I just need to eat something.
You should use the eggnog.
Oh God, bubbly guts all night because I drank like a cup's worth of fucking eggnog. I just started
Whoa,
recording.
whoa, whoa.
I started
What's up?
recording.
Yeah, I know. I know you started recording. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Backstage Boys podcast. We are
13.
here. Episode number episode number 13 for the sixth time, which makes it actually episode number 17. And we are here to talk this week in wrestling, the week in the Backstage Boys wrestling. And this is Trent, and I'm here with my co-host.
Basil,
Basil, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. We did not attend a show this week. We're not doing post show, but we do have a
I
show to talk about.
attended a show.
You did-
You did not.
That was last weekend.
Last Friday.
All right, so we have a show in queue we're going to talk about. And Basil, tell the people what show we're going to talk about.
We're gonna talk about Freelance Wrestling's Too Legit to Quit.
Crazy. Have we
Yeah,
ever talked about freelance before on this
we
show?
have not talked about Freelance yet, and that's
Well,
gonna be changing.
well,
Freelance will be a regular part of the show going
because you are
forward.
a regular part of freelance.
I am a regular part of the Freelance. I've been doing I was doing video stuff for a while, and then I talked to Matt Nix, who is the owner of Freelance Wrestling,
Mhm.
and said I want to start doing photos instead of just doing. We were doing like backstage promos with Val Capone, um, and it's fine and all, but like creative, creative, creatively, I
Creatively.
creatively, it wasn't like the best. I mean,
Fulfilling.
with yeah, um, you know me, I really like to be hands-on,
That's right.
and
That's
I
right.
mean,
I've
I
I've talked to a few of your
produce.
ex-girlfriends. They've said the same thing.
See, not in that way, but in the good way. before anybody, before anybody gets ideas. Um, no, I mean, you know me. If I can't get a hold of any of you guys, I produce. I
Yep.
like to have that. So I talked to Nix. I was like, "Yo, I want to do photos. I need you." Like, it was like kind of the same issue with AEW back when I first started. I wanted consistency with the photos,
Right.
and consistency with my work is something I take huge pride in myself for.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, you can see a progression in my photos, but it's a consistent. It's just a consistency of getting full shows out, and that's something I
True.
pride myself on.
So this
So
will,
I
so
switched to doing ringside photography for them at the last show, which was Hired Gun, and then this is the second show I've done full. I've done photos for them like
I was gonna say I
sporadically,
could have
but
sworn you've done other shows too.
I've done photos for them, but never like full shows.
Oh, okay.
So
So this will be an interesting perspective because I have been to one, maybe two freelance shows in the past, and not familiar with their storylines or anything. But I know some of the talent. We know we've seen them in AEW back in the day. I know some of these guys from other places, and I know the venue. I know you. I know a lot of people involved. So
yeah, we
it'll be interesting.
definitely know the venue because Freelance
Yeah.
holds all their shows at the Logan Square Auditorium, and they typically do Friday night shows and they're late night. They start at 9 o'clock.
So I have a question once we really get into the thick of it in regards to the building, but I'm going to get to that later.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting perspective podcast because I'm going to let you really tell people about it, and then I will kind of play that newbie to the whole thing. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with it, so I'm going to ask the questions that maybe other people like me who don't watch freelance or more AEW, whatever it is, might not know, and hopefully I can get those questions out of you answered, and kind of give some light to freelance. tell people what they're about, what they do. They are the other they're the other promotion in Chicago that kind of like makes the waves, along with AEW. So it's interesting. I'm gonna get more into this too, again from
Yeah.
my perspective. So,
I
but yeah,
think so there's always like this always gets brought up to me
okay,
because I'm one of the few who work for both companies.
yeah,
I'm more heavily in tuned with AEW in a sense
right.
of creatively, and I talk with the owners of both a lot because Nix is a friend of mine who was a friend of mine before freelance even existed.
Did you meet him in the Resistance days, hardcore
Um
days?
I think it was before Resistance. I think he was when he was doing like when he did like random AEW stuff back in
Okay.
the day. I've known him for almost 6 years now. I mean, freelance is about 4 years old. And I think he did Resistance. I think I met him. Yeah, I remember meeting him and Castro before Resistance.
Want to hear a funny story about me and Matt Nix that he probably doesn't remember?
What?
Like 4 years ago, like first year freelance or right before freelance, I think he was looking for a day job, and I had posted that my company at the time was hiring, and I referred him for a job at my company at the time, and we were like in communication about it. I think he ended up getting a job, a different place at that time, but we almost worked together. I almost made $1,000 on Matt Nix getting a referral bonus. That son of a bitch had to stay
Is
in the
this for
wrestling
Kraft?
business. Huh?
Was
No,
this
no,
for Heinz?
no. Before that, I was working at a company called Echo Logistics, and I
Okay.
was telling him
Oh,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, I remember now.
And we were hiring, and he mentioned like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a day job." So I was like, "Shit, man, yeah, I gotta, let me get your resume." And I was this close, Matt Nix, to getting $1,000 off of you for a referral bonus, but you screwed me out of $1,000.
Forever
I say
Heat.
we settle it in the ring, and oh no, we maybe not, maybe.
No, no, don't get in the ring, please.
It has to be a good match. Just to be a good feud. You
Yeah.
cost me $1,000,
Oh
you son
God.
of a
Here
bitch.
we go.
Do Nix, give me a shot. Give me a shot.
So,
You want harmony in the scene? Give me a shot.
all right, let's go on. Really quickly, so
Fucking move me
freelance.
along. What the hell is
Yeah,
this?
I'm moving you along.
This is all I can contribute today to this
Okay, fine.
podcast.
Then let's talk about your 6-year-old Heat with Matt Nix.
Cost me $1,000, Matt. Next thing I haven't forgot. 4-year-old here, by the way. I haven't, I
Four-year-old
haven't,
Heat.
I
Okay.
haven't forgotten about that. $1,000 goes a long way these days in
Think of
Chicago.
the maturity of a 4-year-old.
I want free t-shirts. I want merch. I want things to make up for this gap in my life.
I get merch. Merch is dope.
All right, let's get on with it.
Um,
All right,
so freelance. So really quickly,
yeah,
I'm like I said, I'm one of the few who work for both. And even like the building owners at Logan, they're like, you're not like one of the manager, the one that Sammy Callahan is BFFs with.
Sammy's favorite guy.
Sammy's favorite guy.
I don't know his name. I
He's
forget his
like,
name.
aren't you like? Isn't it weird that you work for both? I was like, no. I'm like, I'm a local photographer, man. Like, I can't be picking and choosing.
That guy, okay, can I say that guy is convinced that there is like some reality to all of it, and he's like trying to find the gap constantly. He's trying to like,
Oh,
right,
I had to tell him, that the Sammy spot was a work.
like, yeah, hey man, it's a work, right? It's like
I
no,
had to tell him that. I was like, dude, just so you know, like, that was a plant security guard. And he's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, dude. Like, nothing was gonna happen. And he was like, I'm so relieved.
yeah. There was some match that happened. He came up to me. He's like, do these guys really hate each other? Like they seem really pissed at each other. They really. I'm like, dude, they don't get along. I just played into. I was like, fuck it, let him believe it, man. Nobody believes it anymore. But let this guy believe it. I'm like, yeah, they fucking hate each other. I think it was Kingston and somebody. I forgot what it was.
Probably
And he was,
Kingston and Albert.
yeah. That's what it was. And he's like, man, these guys got like beef from before. I'm
Like
like, dude.
best friends.
I'm like, it goes back years. Like he's telling about his mom back in the day, and they've had heat, man. Like we keep in separate locker rooms upstairs. It's crazy. And he's like, wow, really? I'm like, just roll with it. Fuck it. Let him believe what he wants to believe.
Isn't he the building manager? Doesn't he realize there's only one locker room upstairs?
There's that second room. Remember
Oh yeah,
that?
that second room. Oh yeah, that's where
For-
we're gonna
for-
keep them separate.
we keep them separate in that second. There's this.
Can
It's
you
usually for the.
imagine keeping Eddie or Albert in one of and or in that little tiny room?
All you'd hear is yelling, but like friendly yelling. It's weird.
Oh God. Okay.
No, like I mean, like all they do is like talk loudly at each other all the
Very,
time.
very loud, very loud.
Like they're constantly yelling happy things to each other. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you
Yeah.
guys? All right, let's go. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna go through the freelance to legit to quit show. I'm gonna let you. Okay, you were there ringside. You had the best seat in the house, and I'm gonna let you go kind of go through it. And I will chime in with some feedback and questions.
Chime in, sir.
Chime.
So what Freelance always does, as tradition, they start off their shows with a six-man scramble. Like that's their thing.
Every show, right?
Uh,
Every show.
It's there's been a few that haven't, but like majority of the shows, like that's like everyone expects the scramble to start off, and I think it's a good way to start off the show.
Is it different participants each scramble?
Yeah,
Or okay.
yeah. There's always different. Sometimes you'll see somebody who's in the same two, but most of the time they're different. It's a good way to use people who are in limbo between storylines and stuff like that.
That's really
Um,
cool. I like
and
that
they
because
also do during the holidays, they also do themes. So like Halloween is a costume battle royal.
okay.
And like with this one, there was a Santa.
I see it. I see Santa and elves in this one.
There was Santa, there was elves, there was suspenders, there was mistletoe, there was gifts given out.
There's VHS in this one
The
too.
VHS of Jingle All the Way. So the participants that we had the ever popular, ever fun Space Monkey, who I love. I love Space Monkey. We had Robert Ego Anthony, who recently had Frank the Clown as his manager, and
Okay.
Frank the Clown could not be there, so he actually legit FaceTimed Frank the Clown,
I'm
and
seeing
Frank
this.
the Clown is on like I thought it was a video. I thought it was like, oh, it's a work video, whatever. They
He's
just
on
have Frank the
FaceTime.
Clown. No, so he holds the phone up to me, and then Frank sees me, and there's a picture of like a legit FaceTime, and then you can see
Yeah.
me taking a picture of it.
I'm looking at it right now.
With
Yeah.
a FaceTime selfie, you can actually see my camera in there. So I was like, oh, it's a legit freelance or FaceTime.
Photos available at basilmahmood.com.
Hi. And then we also had Alex Olson,
Okay.
uh, Eye Candy, Elliot Paul. We had Gringo was originally supposed to be in the match, but Gringo had got booked for MLW for the live tapings.
In Miami,
So
right?
in Miami,
Yeah.
him and DJZ went down there,
Oh,
and
shit.
Lanny Luck was the replacement for the
Okay.
match, and then playing Santa Claus was Chris Castro.
Oh, is that who Santa Claus is?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't
it was
tell.
Castro for who played Santa. And what was really cool, he had elves, and then they were giving out legit gifts to the crowd. Like they had like these headphones, like these little
Oh yeah,
earphones that they were giving out to everybody in the crowd.
it's pretty
Uh,
cool.
yeah, they got everybody hyped about that. So they get in the ring, and Santa starts handing out gifts to everybody.
Like the participants.
Like yeah, like Alex Olson got a VHS of Jingle All the Way. Just random gifts. Robert Anthony got a jar of ice cream.
Ass cream.
Ice
Is it-
cream.
I'm looking at these photos. Yeah.
Got a jar of ice cream. And then, uh, as well, Santa did an elbow drop on the FaceTime of Frank the Clown to start off the match.
That's hilarious. Okay.
So it's a the one thing I do like, there's a lot of, I mean, with the holiday one, there was a lot of back and forth. Everybody gets their spots in. It's like a decent amount. I think it was like 20 minutes for the match. Uh, there was a funny mistletoe spot where Elliot Paul was trying to hold the mistletoe above his head with Laney Luck and did not work well in his favor.
You got slapped. It looks like.
He got slapped hardcore. And then Santa held the mistletoe over Elliot Paul, and Robert Ego, Lenny Luck got involved and made him kiss.
Oh, I see it. I remember Castro and Nix used to be a tag team called Four Star Heroes or something
Yeah, they were
Resistance
originally
Pro.
called the Two-Star Heroes in Resistance, and then when they went to Freelance, they were called the Four-Star Heroes, which in my opinion makes more sense because the Chicago flag has four
It's Four Star.
stars.
Right. That's what I thought. I remember him in Resistance Pro. That's the first time I saw these two,
Yeah, good old Resistance Pro.
which I think is rebranded as something else now.
Resistance now.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what's the best part? So they have like a new logo. They still have all the old belts,
Like
and
the
they put
giant fucking belt, like that women's belt that took up like a whole like
oh
coffee
yeah,
table.
and they impacted it's like how impacted with the GFW belts.
Oh, are you serious? With
You
like
know,
the
they put like
plates?
they put like a sticker or plate or whatever on
Oh
top.
God.
Oh, it's awesome. Good
Yeah,
old.
hopefully it's a plate. I've seen indies do stickers and it's like, oh my God,
I
you
think
actually
it's a
use a sticker.
plate, but I mean, if it's a sticker, I wouldn't be shocked. I haven't seen it personally, so I can't speak on it. I've just seen pictures. It was a good back and forth. I mean, scramble matches just get everybody hyped up. Everyone gets their spots in.
It's a good kickoff. It's kind of like kicking off with a lucha match type of thing, you know. You get everybody hyped, you get them going.
Yeah, good kickoff match. Robert Anthony got the win over Santa.
Now, is there stakes in this? Do you get a title match? What do you get for
No,
winning the scramble?
no. I mean, sometimes it can help build momentum. Like I said, it's good if you like Robert's just starting this thing with Frank the Clown that got introduced at the last show.
Okay.
So I mean, it's good. It looks good because they're continuing that storyline.
Okay.
With Frank the Clown coming out on FaceTime and all that stuff, and he gets the win. So when they start building off, he has some momentum going on now because this is his second match that he's won.
Okay.
With everything. Uh, Another thing, everyone likes to give Frank the Clown a lot of shit.
All I hear is terrible shit they give this guy.
Every you know,
What's the heat?
if you're from a fan's perspective, you hate Frank the Clown, and that
Do,
is what makes him so good. But he's a legit good dude.
do they hate him because he's dating Noel Foley? Is that why they
They
hate
hate
him?
him because he's a fan who became who they say he doesn't deserve his spot.
I mean, come
That's
on.
what it is. It's because he was a fan that was on TV, and then now he's in a ring, and people just go up in arms about it. I mean, it's not like
Jealousy.
he's not
It's
taking
jealousy.
he's not realistically taking a spot.
Right. It's
He's
jealousy,
mainly in a
man.
manager role, or he was in that joke match at Warrior Wrestling with David Arquette and RJ City and
Mhm.
Ellsworth. Like, you know what I mean? It's not really taking a spot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
People just get jealous, man. That's all it
That's all
is.
it is. Yeah, Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. But no, it was a good start to the show. And then the second match of the night, we had this newcomer, Meek Drake.
Meek
Uh,
Drake.
Meek Drake against Ricky Shane Page, who this is 5 days after that Cage of Death match that we talked about last week.
And he was in with Manser, right?
Dude, yeah, like if you look,
He's cut the fuck up. Look at his
he's
arms.
dude, he was taping up like he looked in pain. Like I don't know. This is 5 days after Cage of Death.
Mick Drake, another caramel stallion there, one of ours, one of our
For
boys,
the brown guys.
one of the brown guys here. Good to see. Always good to see
Uh,
you.
yeah, I
I,
mean, this was a good match. I mean, this was like Hoss battle. It's two big dudes going at it.
Ricky Shane
Uh,
Page. I have not seen him since he was what's the Christian Faith in AEW
that was his
years ago.
last appearance. That's when he got unmasked. He got
Years
unmasked.
ago.
That
Yeah.
was
Who
like,
unmasked him? Was it Iron? Greg Iron?
I think that's after they turned on him. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Iron Curtain turned on him and unmasked him, and then he had like that short feud with
Yeah.
Gregory Iron.
I wish we got a. I don't know why he. This is years before you and I were there, but we were in the audience. But I don't know why he was no longer used. I'll have to find out.
I don't know.
Curious.
I mean, Ricky Shane Page has a good following. Like,
That's what I heard. He's like built a lot of momentum.
yeah, I mean, he's a crowd favorite in my opinion. He's not a bad person by any means.
Where
He
is he
just
from?
uh
Indiana?
is he? I thought he was Canada.
Really? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
How?
Let me look it up.
Well, how was the match? Talk about the match.
It was a inter Hoss match. Nothing crazy or anything like that in my opinion. It
Power
was
moves.
yeah, good power moves and stuff like that. Sandusky, Ohio is where he's from.
He was a Midwestern boy. There you go.
Yeah, makes sense. Uh, uh, yeah. I mean, there was no storyline or anything like that with this. Really, it's just more of Meek trying to make a name for himself.
What's Meek's background? Where is he coming from? Where do they find him? What's the deal?
You know what? He's just one of those newcomers that
Yeah.
like I think he's just kind of building himself up because
Okay.
I don't know too much about him.
Looks like a big guy though, huh?
He is a big dude. So,
Interesting. Okay.
uh, but yeah, that was, and then Meek ends up getting the win on this one.
Cool.
So then we go into our first tag match of the night. We have Darren Corbin and Bucky Collins versus the N-Words. And this was actually a great match. I will
Yeah.
say that. This was a fun match. So first so just to give you some background, if you look, um you can see the picture. There's a fan who is up in Darren Corbin's face. And this is a
I know this guy.
yeah. And this is like I think this is one of Freelance's greatest feuds.
Oh,
Is
really?
oh yeah, dude, like he always yells at Darren's face and just he was always cutting in when Darren was the champion,
Yeah.
when he was Freelance champion, he would always like just start swearing at Corbin during his promos and fuck you and you're a piece of shit and he's like you're a shit. Oh, so they like developed this feud and every time he comes out, he always just gets into Darren's face and everybody just allows it. Everyone knows it's happening. So,
I this guy comes to AEW also, and I talk to him
yeah.
all the time.
Yep.
I don't know his name. I don't remember his name. But what's with the other guy holding a banana in this picture next to the
That's
yelling
Hank.
guy?
That's Hank.
Yeah, why does Hank have a banana?
I don't know, but I
He's
just
holding a
think
banana.
it just adds to the picture, in my
That's
opinion. It's just
true.
funny because it's like he's on the phone.
A
I
banana
don't
phone.
It's a banana phone, man. I don't know if it was from Space Monkey. That's probably
Yeah, it could have been. Could have
it
been for
could have been
Space
from
Monkey.
Space Monkey, but I don't know why you would have a banana at a wrestling show.
It just looks so funny.
Oh.
All right, so how was the match? Talk about it.
So the match was fun. Uh it starts off normal, a little back and forth, a little bit of comedy, and then they go into they do the West Side Story dance.
What?
Yeah, they start doing
Are
the
you serious?
yeah, and if you see in the pictures, they're doing it. They're all going around and stuff like that, and then the song starts playing.
Really?
Oh yeah, you could see if you look in the pictures, you see
I'm
Bucky and
looking.
Darren dancing, going crazy.
So okay, pause for a second here.
Okay.
The so freelance really they kind of do like the wink and a nod, like yes, we're just having fun. It's all just fun. Even like do they kind of do that with the heavier feuds too? Like
No,
wink. We're just
the heavier feuds have very little comedy in my opinion.
okay. I
I
wasn't sure if like it's one of the things. It's like the hey, it is all just the work and fun. Like
No, but I think it's good to raise up the level of seriousness as the show goes on.
Okay, yeah, good point. Like build to it, right? Build to
It
your
it
main.
it builds to it. I mean, there was a lot of good wrestling in this match. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
Okay.
if you look through the photos and stuff like that, you can see there was a lot of good stuff going on. But um yeah, it was just the N-words like to have fun. I mean, Darren Corbin and Bucky, I mean, you've seen them before, especially Bucky
Yeah.
recently. Like, you know how they are.
Right. Right.
Um I think I mean when you take into context, you see when we go through the whole card,
Hmm.
you'll you'll be okay with this little bit of comedy from the beginning because like the Ricky Shane Page Drake match did not have any comedy in it at all.
Okay.
Uh, but this one did. There was a little bit in there, and the fans loved it. Like everybody knew what was going on.
I guess it's
Uh,
a Friday late night. They're known. They're not like they're not like known to be like your workhorse roster, right? They're not like your technical guy. So like everybody's just like, hey, let's enjoy the party. Kind of that mood. It seemed like that. The one show I went to, it was kind of like we're all here just for a party. Like we're having a good time.
yeah.
Nobody's taking themselves too seriously. We know it's a wrestling show. One thing I want to ask you though, the
Hmm.
entranceway is on the other side as
It's
on the
on the other
stage
side. So what happens is instead of where our wrestlers normally come out, there's a giant curtain that goes all the way from the locker room
to the
all the way
back.
to the
Yeah,
back,
I
which
like that.
I like that a lot.
Because well, the entrance then becomes hard camera, which is interesting,
Yes.
right?
Yes, the
That's
entrance is
kind of
hard
cool.
camera.
That's kind of cool. That's it seems like it's nearly set up for that. I know like for AEW stage is a premium seat. That's why we do it the other way, but and we have a different stage or entrance setup, I should say.
Yeah,
But
plus I mean people like people like the stage seating.
stage seating's cool.
I was a
You
big
were
fan of the stage seating
you were a
when we were at
notorious
the
stage
given shows.
seater. Yeah, you were a
Oh,
stage.
Bourbon and Logan, I love the stages. It was just
You're so into it, right? Yeah, I love it too. It's a really good view.
it's literally the best seat in the house if you can get stage seating. So
I but this is
especially
cool.
for Logan.
Yeah, I do agree. This is an interesting having hard camera, like facing hard camera. It's kind of cool. It's different. I mean, I'm so used to seeing it the other way in that building, you know?
Yeah, that's why I like doing freelance. It's different. It's the same, but it's presented differently. It's not presented as the same show as AEW, which why I feel like freelance has a very good place in the Chicago indie scene, where there's so much of the same going on. You
Yeah.
get two completely different shows when you're at a freelance show, and you get something completely different at an AEW show.
So here's my question though. So freelance is kind of like okay, it's like AEW's is the long-standing veteran company, the big company in the city who gets the national and television stars on it, and we're known as that, like the established territory promotion. And then freelance has, the more the local guys, like the guys who aren't known on a national level. Some, I mean, obviously Ethan Page and others, um, but my question is like, I feel like all the other smaller indies in Chicago, it's like AEW has, we have our guys, but then you have the freelance guys who's like their freelance is the top for these guys, but then every other promotion uses these guys as well. So do you feel like they get overexposed because of the other promotions? Because everybody, all the other smaller ones use all the freelance guys.
Not really, because our guys are used everywhere in the country, where a lot of these guys are used mainly locally. Well, some of them,
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's like freelance uses them, then Underground, and Zello, and this guy and that guy. They all use the same roster, and it's like, are these guys getting overexposed locally? That's the question I'm asking.
yeah, but it's the presentation that freelance separates itself. I think
Yeah.
freelance is better when it comes to storylines over
Mhm.
the other because Zello, there's no real storyline going on.
But storyline's one thing. It's exposing the talent too much. You think that some of these guys are getting overexposed? I mean, maybe not because they're still drawing. Freelance still has a lot solid audience, but like like for example, the N words. I see them on like Golly, and I see them on Zello, and I see them on Freelance. I see them on. It's like so many in a close proximity.
Yeah, but you got to remember a lot of these guys we're so used to how indies are at AAW, where all these guys are traveling nationally, where a lot of these guys, honestly, they can only do local. So, I
Yeah,
mean, you're going to get your reps in locally. I mean,
I guess it keeps them working all month at a different. It's
and
almost like
that's
you
just
can
all
see.
it is. There's just different levels of indie wrestling.
Yeah,
We're so used to our quote unquote super indies where
right.
we got to remember that there's different tiers of indie wrestling. And we've gotten at AEW we've gotten so used to that level that we've kind of forgotten
Yeah,
that's how indie wrestling is this is normally how if you go down to St. Louis, all the
mm,
guys are being used in that St. Louis area, St. Louis Anarchy and
yeah.
um what's the other, there's
There's one
Zero
more.
One,
Right, right.
Glory Pro, they're all like you have the same majority of guys being used there, and then you have Ohio where you
Yeah,
have Rockstar and Revolver. All those guys are being used over there. And then if you go the northeast, it's the same thing. You go to Cali, it's the same thing.
yeah. It's like you have your super indies stapled in to each territory, then you have the smaller ones kind of, and I mean you have constant smaller ones. Like there's probably an indie show in Chicago every weekend. I would think at this
I,
point.
I wouldn't doubt it
Like
because I
yeah,
mean you have like You have like Berwyn Championship. You have
Yeah, you got that
Chicago.
too.
What was it? CSW or whatever.
CSW, you have Golly, you have Freelance
But see, Gali
Underground.
is like almost all. Gali's a completely different beast.
They are, but I see a lot of these guys, like N-words I've seen on Golly, and I've seen a couple of these guys on Golly, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you're right, that you brought up a good point. It's basically they're the local guys, and they'll wrestle wherever is running locally that weekend,
Yeah.
which makes sense. Yeah. Feeding
So
the scene constantly
I don't think
between.
it's bad. I think Freelance does a really good job with presenting.
Yeah, I
So
mean they're the top local, like they're the top of that of that column, you know? Like whereas AEW is the staple territory owner, it's like Freelance is the local fix.
yeah.
You know, which is what like AEW was at one time. You know, AEW was that in the early
I
days. We
mean,
were
we AEW was that three, I would say 3.5 years ago.
yeah, I'd say
I
4
think
years ago was the shift because like you had guys like Cannon and Page and
I think the
Derek
the
Corbin.
shift happened mid 2015. I would
You think
say.
that late? I thought it really changed a little earlier than that. I thought we're looking
I
at
think
more.
I think the big change happened. The biggest part of the change happened when Sammy came back.
Oh yeah, when Sammy came back, it was
When
like
Sammy came back and Lucha Underground stars were allowed to work indies,
yeah, that was it.
that's when the change happened with indies, and the indie scene really blew up when Lucha Underground wrestlers were allowed to wrestle for the indies.
True.
And
True.
I honestly accredit Lucha Underground to why the indie scene blew up so much.
And they'll never get that credit like on a national like scale from people like the popular opinion. People will never think about that. That's a really good point you bring up.
Because
They presented people so differently on TV and made stars out of a lot of guys on TV, and then unleashed all those guys on the indies. It's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
and
And
when that happened, you had TV stars on the indies, which didn't really happen. You didn't have people who were currently on TV on the indies because
true.
Impact wasn't letting guys on the indies.
No, not at that time. Impact was pretty
Um,
tight.
WWE wasn't letting their guys on, regardless if Evolve is a partnership with WWE, but you didn't see that. You didn't see people going back to IPW or to Progress.
True.
That didn't happen. So
Good point.
I
But
mean, even ROH was loosely signing
they,
guys.
yeah, they were the one that where you would catch their guys, but yeah, it was still loose. But anyway, let's go on. We don't want to lose track of the matches. So you're in the
No.
tag match. Yeah.
So we had the tag match, and then
Who's the guy? Who's this guy here with the mustache and the funny jacket?
this is Mikey.
Okay, who's Mikey?
Mikey McFinnigan is his name. Mikey
Okay.
McFinnigan came out to distract. He came out with to the N words like theme song to it was NWA.
Okay.
So
What does
and
his
then
T-shirt say? I guess something mania.
it's
Finnegan
there's
mania.
an N word and then there's asterisk 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 mania. It's
Okay.
part of the N words gear.
Oh, is it really?
You can put two and two together.
Yes.
So
God.
um
That's so goofy.
yeah, but he came out and they were so confused and then Bucky and Darren
hmm
uh came up and surprised them for the win and then Mikey joined Bucky and Darren.
Oh, okay.
So
So he turned.
that's yeah. So nice little heel faction for Freelance. So I'm excited to see how that fleshes out.
Nice. All right, cool.
And
Next one.
then we go into this. So this is what I'm talking about with the storylines that Freelance does really well. So this storyline goes back to the summer. This is Ethan Page versus Eric Cannon. It was
Look at Ethan Page, a television star now. Look at that tight that lineup on that beard. You know, chest, little pectorals looking a little sharp. I mean, he's going to homecoming. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna be in the Ultimate X. He's got to work that upper body's looking legit. Just saying.
um. So the storyline with this goes. They
Look at
were,
those triceps.
oh my
This
God.
photo by Basil Mahmood. Look at these triceps. Look at that definition on those triceps. That light work, that editing. Shit.
Not that great.
Looks good. Looks good. You made Ethan Page look like Scott Steiner right now. Come on.
Oh, there's not enough editing to make anybody look like Scott Steiner.
I mean, there's a 33 and a third chance that you could do that, but anyway, go on.
It's 7/6 of a chance.
7/6 to 1/8 chance and a 30.
1/8 chance.
Wait, so real quick on that. You know that the famous promo.
That's my sacrifice.
I love that promo, but if you actually follow the math along with Scott Steiner, he's actually right. Like
Shut up.
It's
Shut
correct. I'm
up.
serious. Watch it, and like it adds up. I'm serious.
I'm not gonna even. I'm not
I
gonna
want
even.
no feedback, listeners, BSB listeners.
We
Tell
know
me I'm
Nate
wrong.
will. We know Nate will do it.
Nate, do the math and tell me
Or
it's right.
Chris, compadre Chris.
Roger, Chris, do the math.
Two
I'm
heels
telling
in
you.
a face.
Two as a face.
Well,
Plug
Two
our
Heels
boys.
in a Face just had a wonderful interview with Steve from Warrior Wrestling
Steve,
to do a nice little preview.
love Steve. Nicest guy.
So check out Two Heels in a Face, but after you listen to this, don't stop listening right now.
Don't
please.
stop listening. Actually, if they stop, we still got the listen credit, so we're good. You guys want to stop? Go ahead.
No, I want them to listen. Shut up! I want them to listen to everything. Everything.
At least one per show.
There's always a one Sammy impersonation per show.
Let's see what we got here.
So they were tag partners, and Ethan turned on Eric.
Okay.
So this is where that whole feud is, and they've been fighting back and forth, attacking each other after matches and stuff like that. So this was a this was a hardcore match. This was a straight up. This was just brutal. Like, this was the no comedy that I was telling you about. There was zero in this one. This was
How's Canada? I haven't seen him in years. Work. He looks the same. I just haven't seen him wrestle in years.
I mean, it's the same style.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything too different. I mean, he's still over. It's that you have that punk rock crowd, that freelance.
It is, yeah. It's their crowd, yeah.
Yeah, so he fits in well with them. Ethan and him worked a very for Eric Cannon's side, worked a very bloody match.
Yeah, he's crimson masking right there in these pictures. This is a great shot. You have a photo here from looks like you're like looking at the stage. Cannon's got his head hung and Ethan's at the entrance. That's a really money shot. Oh, they put each other over at the end. What happened?
Hold on. You're going
zipping through.
You're going too far ahead, sir.
I'm sorry. I was looking at your photos.
So
photos available at basilmahmood.com.
Yeah. Eric puts Ethan through the table. That was a good setup spot because that took about 10 minutes for this table to actually get used. Well, it was about 5. It was between 5 and 10 minutes. I can't remember. Eric pours out the thumbtacks. Ethan actually throws him into the thumbtacks. And Eric kicks out. Ethan slams him down again, but right when he slams him down, Eric, out of just pure instinct, rolls him up. And
Eric won. Okay.
And Eric wins. And then the reason why there's a stage shot, you can see the first one where Ethan is actually at the stage while Eric is still in the ring.
Yeah, I see that.
Because the loser of the match had to say he respected the winner.
Oh, okay.
It's all pride. So they had a nice little promo. Eric, and then Ethan said he respected him and all that stuff. It was a good match.
Cool.
I liked it. It was a good ending. It was a nice cap off to the feud.
So feud's over. They ended a couple. This was a very feud wrap up show. I think
it's in indie wrestling. It's smart to end feuds because contracts always come up in January and stuff like that. If you're getting somebody off the indies,
especially like Pages on contract, yeah, you never know.
Unless it's like a really big star who gets signed up in the middle of the year, but like the bulk signing of contracts happen in January.
Good point. Okay.
So it's just smart too. Then we go into what I'm gonna call my match of the night pick. And
Okay.
that's a really hard pick because these next four matches, this is the second half, are all very good. We had
Okay.
three title matches, and then we have the cap off to probably one of the best feuds that's happened in the Chicago indie scene.
All right. We'll talk
So
about it.
we
Sure.
have the Workhorsemen. If you've never heard of the Workhorsemen, you should listen up, read up. It consists of Anthony Henry and JD Drake. Anthony Henry is the FIP World Heavyweight Championship, World Heavyweight Champion. FIP is a banner under the WWN banner, all that stuff. And
Mhm.
then JD Drake is the WWN champion himself. And then they are also the freelance tag team champions together.
Okay. There's a
And
lot of belts going on here.
a lot of they have four belts just between the two of them. So, and then they went up against the Ugly Ducks. And I had no idea. I've never seen this team before. Like I've heard about them like a little bit, but I was like, okay, I mean, like they were marketing themselves at the merch table like crazy.
Really?
Like they have like those banners that MMA fighters used to put up behind them with all like the sponsors and stuff like that
Okay.
in
Yeah.
MMA fights.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what happened at their merch table. They had like the whole Ugly Ducks sign and all that stuff, and they came out. I was like, okay, this could be a joke match or whatever. I didn't know much about them, and I was wrong. This was a great back and forth match. Like there was a lot of smart things that were happening. There's this one spot where Anthony Henry kicks one of the dudes in the back, and
Okay.
then um, Anthony Henry was like, and then the other guy goes, "Let me kick you in the back," like trying to play like one-upsmanship.
Yeah.
And instead of kicking him in the back, he takes Anthony Henry and tries to roll him up. Tries
Oh,
to,
nice.
yeah, tries to roll him up from behind.
I
So,
love their gear. The Ugly Ducks.
yeah,
Their gear is
like
fantastic.
boxer style.
I really like it. I don't know what it's so gaudy, but it's got like it's very artistic
It's
actually.
artistic. It's like a mix between. It's almost like it has the colors of like what the Rockers and the Young Bucks wear, but then you have
Yeah.
like this Duck Dynasty
Mm-hmm.
uh mixed with comic books type
Yeah,
artwork.
very comic artwork. I like it a lot.
That's what it is. I mean, they can go like these guys were athletic. There was crazy moves. There was JD Drake is not a small dude. He was doing moonsaults. They were doing flips everywhere. Anthony Henry has this really cool double leg stomp that he does.
Yeah, I'm looking at it in your photo here.
Yeah, he did that a few times. They had some like sunset flips on one another, hurricane ranas, everything that you can think of. And there
Cool.
were so many near falls in this match, and people were not expecting that. Like
Cool.
this match went on. I think this match went on like 25 minutes.
Who came out on top?
So Workhorseman ended up retaining.
Okay.
It was a good. I was completely in shocked by how good this match was.
This is your match recommendation of the night
This is
for the show?
if you're gonna watch any match on this card, it's gonna be this one.
All right, cool.
Besides the main event, in my opinion. Like
Nice.
obviously you have to watch the main event. Um, then we go into the Powerbomb TV Championship match. And for anybody who doesn't know what the Powerbomb TV Championship match, um, it is essentially what the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship match or Heavyweight Champion used to do, go around the territories, defend its belt.
I like
Uh,
that.
yeah, Powerbomb TV is the streaming service that Freelance Wrestling is on.
I guess the only thing that makes it silly is that it's a title for a streaming service. Like I don't like how does it what's the correlation? But I guess it does make sense because
It's
that
2018
service.
Trent. Everything is streaming.
No, I'm saying like, but it's like a streaming service has their title. But I can see where it makes sense because it's like that service covers so many different promotions, and it's like that service is on site, so their title is as well. I get it. It's
But the thing
different.
is, when you subscribe to Powerbomb TV, you're subscribing to all these different companies, so it's kind of nice to have this one champion that goes to all those companies that are associated with Powerbomb TV.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, like, okay, I can see that. I like it.
Hey man, it's you gotta get with the new age.
I'm getting what I'm learning.
You're learning, kid. You're learning.
I'm always stuck 20 years behind. Remember, on everything.
So we have Kobe Durst who recently won the Alpha Male championship at A1 in
Hmm.
Canada, and who is Black Label Pro's Indiana state champion.
Yep.
So he's been on a bit of a hot streak lately, and then he went up against Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, who I don't. Have you ever watched Tracy Williams before?
No, I've never seen Tracy Williams. I've seen Kobe Durst, not Tracy Williams. So,
You need to you. This is I think you just need to watch this show. In my
all right,
opinion,
maybe we'll get
I
through it and
I,
watch this.
I
Not a bad
really
idea.
think I really think you would enjoy the show.
Okay.
Tracy Williams is a phenomenal wrestler.
Really?
Oh,
Where's he out of? What's the background?
I don't know his background too much. I'm horrible with this today.
You are horrible at this today.
I
Kobe
am.
Durst. I've seen Kobe Durst at Black
Kobe's from
Label.
Canada. Kobe's from Canada.
He's from
Tracy's
Canada.
from
I keep thinking he's local. Shit.
no, Kobe's from Canada. Him, Space Monkey, Shane, Mark Wheeler, Ethan,
Drive in.
they all drive in together.
Oh, interesting.
Tracy Williams is from New York, Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, cool.
Brooklyn. Yeah, but I've seen a few matches of him, and I've never seen a bad match that he's had. So
Okay, cool.
this was a good this was a good hard hitting match between him and Kobe. Kobe can go too. Like I've been Kobe's improved his game insane amount with him. From if you were gonna tell me this last year, I've been like, yeah, he's not bad, but Kobe in the last year has completely changed up his game. He's changed up his diet. He's actually taking um he was telling me he was taking like diet tips and wrestling tips from Josh Alexander.
Oh shit, Josh Alexander, man,
I
that
mean,
was like
Josh
$1 million.
Alexander is like one of the goats.
He's the man. So if you're learning from him, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
So who came out on top on this one?
Tracy Williams came out on top with this disgusting clover leaf that he hit on Kobe.
The Cloverleaf submission. That's what it looks like from the photo. He's
Yeah.
tapped him out. Okay.
Yep. So
I like the look. I like Durst too. When we saw him at Black Label, I was like, this guy's all right. I like him.
yeah, I love Kobe. I think Kobe has a very bright future ahead of him. I just think a few more years to get more mature.
Yeah, he seems like he's young.
Yeah, he's just young. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just young. So
Yeah. Cool.
just
So
needs
that
time to blossom.
I'm sorry. So you say it again. Who was the champ going into this?
Tracy Williams was
Was he,
defending champ.
oh, so he retained. Okay.
He retained over Kobe.
Cool. All right. What was next?
We go into this is one of the few times that the freelance world heavyweight championship does not get defended in the main event. This title almost always this is literally the second show I can think of
Hmm.
that it hasn't been defended in the main event.
Interesting. Okay. So champion is
Champion is Isaiah Velasquez.
Andres Velasquez. Okay. And
Defending up against Craig Mitchell, who is the freelance underground champion. And they've kind of had this feud that's been going on for about 4 years.
4 years.
So they had the match, or it was like 3 years ago. I think it might have been 3 years ago. It was three, yeah. It might have been four. This has been on and off
Wow.
over the last 4 years. So
I
they
love
had a
long
match
feuds.
back in the day.
I love long feuds.
Then
Like,
they were
yeah.
in this group called Beta together.
Okay, I remember you telling me about that.
They were in this group called Beta, where Isaiah was the champion. Isaiah lost the title to Mustafa Ali, who recently got promoted from 205 Live to the SmackDown Live roster.
Another brown guy, bro. Just
Dude, I was so
just saying.
happy. Dude, not only did he get promoted to two, so he had a match last week against Daniel Bryan.
I heard he pinned him in a tag match or something.
And then this week he teamed up with AJ Styles.
I'm really going with him, huh?
and
Pretty
he
cool.
pinned Daniel Bryan in the main event, and that's how the show ended with him and AJ Styles celebrating.
Nice. He's a good
So,
dude. He's a
yeah,
fellow Pakistani guy. Like,
Mustafa's awesome,
he's a good guy. He's a Chicago boy too, South Side.
dude. Born and raised, all that stuff. So there's nothing wrong I can say about him.
The AEW crew, like they used to hang out with him. They're like, man, it's crazy to like. We used to go watch pay-per-views at his house, and now he's on TV. He's on the pay-per-views. Just like a
Yeah, man.
trip.
He almost retired too.
Yeah, because he was a cop.
He was a cop. He was an alternate in the cruiserweight classic. He wasn't even supposed to be in it. He was an alternate. You go from an alternate in the cruiserweight classic to going to 205 live, on WrestleMania, and now you're on the SmackDown Live roster and you just pin the champion. You just pin the WWE champion, like all within 2 years.
No, yeah, I love that. I think he's a good human being too.
If
That's my
there's
favorite part about him.
if there is a story to tell you that it can happen, that's Mustafa is that story right there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
So this match, Craig Mitchell, a 4-year feud.
so Craig Mitchell won the first match.
Okay.
And then it went to a draw in the second match. So
Okay.
this is the third match.
It's a rubber match. All right.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can consider a 1-1 or 1-0-1 a rubber match.
Oh yeah, my bad. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Okay.
I know what you mean by that because it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
third match. We're just used to calling the third match a rubber match.
Right, right.
But
So how was the match?
this was fantastic.
Did you see the others? Have you seen all the others live?
I saw the first one live,
Okay.
like way back in the day. That was back at, I think that was an Abbey Pub show,
Okay, that
like
was
back when they used to run out of Abbey Pub.
right.
Um, but yeah, I remember seeing that match, and I mean, Craig Mitchell alone, like his physique is completely changed. Like he lost a ton of weight, put on a ton of muscle, is probably in the best shape that he's been in. So
Real quick. Finish this
yeah,
match. I
yeah.
have a question. Um,
Okay. Uh, Solid back and forth. What I like about this, so they both hit their finishers on each other's multiple times. Kick out after kick out after kick out.
mhm.
Isaiah gets the win with a roll up.
So what's this belt? I see Craig's holding a belt too. What belt is
That's
that?
the Freelance Underground. That's the Freelance Underground Championship.
So was this match for both? Was it a
No,
unification?
it was just for the Freelance World
Gotcha.
Championship.
Do they ever defend the underground title on
Yeah,
like
so
Freelance main show?
Craig has actually been defending it on the main show.
Gotcha.
So he's had matches with like Marcus Crane, a few others. I'm horrible with remembering.
It's
But
fine.
he's been for last 4 months he's been defending that title on the main show
Gotcha.
as
Cool.
well as obviously the underground shows.
I saw him at Zello when we went to Milwaukee to see Zello. Craig Mitchell.
Yeah.
I saw him there and I was like, all right. He was like thicker back then. I guess usually like I said kind of reshaped himself a little bit. So I'm curious to see how he is now because he's definitely a power guy for sure.
Yeah.
He looks like he hits hard. He's intense. So I'd like to see what he's like now. Cool.
He hits harder.
So the main event now.
The main event. So
Give a
this
little
is
background. This I've heard this hashtag. I've heard our boys at Two Heels in the Face.
hashtag beat up GPA.
They're big into that. There's a T-shirt. I've seen this hashtag.
Oh,
This is the thing.
it's a huge thing. I was actually wearing my beat up GPA shirt and unzipped my freelance hoodie to show GPA as he walked out my beat up GPA shirt.
All right.
I had complete bias going into this match. I have no shame. Like if you like GPA, you're a bad person.
You're a piece of shit. All right.
You're just a piece of shit. You're a bad person. You're up to no good.
All right. Fair enough.
This started off kind of like because they were a tag team as well,
Right.
and GPA viciously beat up Kylie, attacked her, put her in his submission multiple times. This was the they were best friends for years. They were always they were Freelance Underground tag team champions at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which which was very awkward when they were because the good thing, like what we were talking about, how you were saying, are they overexposed and stuff like that? This feud went into Freelance Underground.
Okay, so
Like
that's cool because if you're carrying the exposure, like if you're carrying a feud throughout all the different things you're doing locally, then there's an effect to it because then it becomes must see, right? Like I'm
yeah,
like, I want to see how they further it now at this company. I want to see how they further at this place. That's where, to me as a fan, which is the way I'm looking at this show because I'm not involved. To me, that's an attraction. If I'm like, you know what, I know they're gonna have this match at Freelance's main show, but there's three more leading up to it. Like, oh, like what's gonna happen on those? Is he gonna attack Kylie? Is Kylie gonna attack him? Like, that's cool. I can dig that. If you're actually like making the best out of the exposure, that's where it comes in. Cool.
yeah, and like GPA turned heel up at Zello.
Okay.
He obviously was a heel in Freelance Underground. They actually still have one more match in Freelance Underground because they obviously have their own storylines that they have to push.
Yep.
So there is still one more match, but in terms of freelance wrestling, it's done.
Okay.
Uh, this was a pretty brutal match. It was going back and forth. There was a scary spot where Kylie hit her head on the outside. Uh, and GPA kept attacking her. Nyx came out even. There was a really scary spot where he was trying to bash her head while Kylie's mouth was jammed into a chair.
Yeah, that there's a photo you have of that and it looks brutal as hell. Like
Super brutal.
if that actually like pulled off, I'd be freaking scared.
Oh, it'd be super scary. And unfortunately, the last picture I have is not the last picture of the match.
Oh.
And this
What
is where
you want a sidebar and tell what happened? Tell
I
people.
can't.
Well, tell who won the match, and then you can tell the story.
So
Because then
Kylie,
I have a
it's an I
question
quit.
about your.
It's an I quit match,
All right.
and Kylie makes GPA quit.
Okay. So he
Um,
taps, or he
yeah.
says I
Well, no,
quit.
he literally says you had to say I quit. Like it was
Okay.
old school I quit, not just submission.
Gotcha.
Um, my camera malfunctioned right in the middle of the main event.
But for good reason. It's not like your camera's a piece of shit. Like
Oh